Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about Early Affection, written by George Moses Horton. Now, before I go into summary and analysis of what's going on in this poem, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. So, when you're looking at a poem, it's really good to look at the title. It's really important to look at what's going on in the poem, what types of imagery are being used, the tone, the emotions that it evokes when you're reading the poem, and pretty much all the devices that the poem is using to say something. Now, early affection, let's just first look at the title, early affection. Well, right off the bat, it's talking about affections. It's talking about emotions. It's talking about feelings. And earlier we're thinking about youth. We're thinking about something that is new, or something that's untapped, something that's not explored. Whenever you're calling something early, it's at its dawn. It's at its well, it's at its beginning. In affections, we're looking at emotions. We're talking about, well, for here we could be talking about love. We could be talking about early feelings, or understanding your early feelings or untapped feelings. And so that's one way to look at this poem. It's that early love, early emotions, early feelings. Trying to understand it. It's untapped. It hasn't been explored. So keep those things in mind while we go through this poem and its potential meaning. Okay, so of course it's by George Moses Horton. Here's the poem. I love thee from the earliest dawn, when first I saw thy beauty's ray. I mean, right there, the first two lines, we're getting, time, or time comes in right away. I love thee, or I love thee from the earliest dawn. So it's already in the past tense. So he's loved this thing or this person or whatever he loves. He's loved it from the beginning. And of course he throws in dawn. So if I love you from the earliest dawn, so dawn is sunrise. So from the beginning of the sunrise, I loved you. And right there, that's throwing in imagery of, well, sunrise, and we know how beautiful sunrise can be. If you've ever watched the sunrise, it's beautiful. The sky is beautiful when it comes up. And when first I saw thy beauty's ray. So right then we get beauty. We get the ray of beauty, or the ray of the sunshine. So whatever he loves, it's being compared to the sun. We get that beautiful imagery that's being added in. We know that there's love here, that there's emotions here, that there's time here. Time is a factor in this. We know that this is something that has some substance to it. Okay, then it goes in will until life eves comes on, and beauty's blossom fades away. This is still talking about beauty, but it's talking about beauty that can fade away. It's talking about, I'll love you until life's eve. It's talking about beauty's blossom fading away. Now, this is something that's a part of the human condition. In terms of the human condition, we are born. We all have our peak physical health that we reach, or our peak beauty that we reach. There's an age where men are the most attractive, when women are the most attractive, and life goes on to where you grow up, you're a child, you're a kid, you reach your a level of intelligence, or a level of beauty, or a level of skill, and then, sooner or later it will fade away. Beauty is temporal; it's not forever. It has its beginning, and then one day we all get gray, old, and turn to dust. That's just the human condition. That's just life. And George Moses Horton here is saying that, whatever he loves is that thing. He's loved it since the beginning. It's been a long time. Since the earliest dawn. I mean, that's quite important. That says a lot. and he's pretty much kind of like making these bold statements that, I'll love you when, your beauty fades away. I'll love you when these amazing things that you have, when they're not at their peak anymore. Um, and it goes into, when all things go well with thee, with smiles and tears remember me. So we're playing with time also here. So time comes in. I mean, if you're remembering something, if you're remembering someone, you have to think back in the past. And he's saying with smiles and tears. So through the bad times, through the good times, think of me. So this is a cry to whatever he loves. He's kind of like, kind of in a way talking to his love, telling his love, well, remember me wherever you go, wherever you are. When you're sad, when you're happy, know that I love you. Know that I've cared for you. Know that, I'll be there for you when you're happy, when you're sad, when life eves comes on, when times are not as good. Know that I love you and I'll love you no matter what. So, of course, this poem, we get that there's love in it. We get that these are a lot of emotions, sadness, happiness, death. I mean, this poem evokes death. I mean, if life eve is coming on, if there's a dawn, there's an eve, and there's beauty, and beauty fades, and there's sadness and happiness, and well, you got to remember me through all of that. So the speaker here is saying, well, no matter what, I'll always love you, and I want you to remember me because of how I feel about you. Um, I'll love thee when thy morn is past, and wheedling gallantry is o'er, when youth is lost and age is blast. Wow, I mean, this is a lot of promises. I'll love you. It's like, I'll love you no matter what. When you don't have that gallantry, that hunger, that courageousness, when that's fading away. When I mean, if you're thinking about a woman, I mean, you're thinking about a young, beautiful, when thy morn is past, that peak sunrise, that peak youthness, intelligence. I mean, all humans. This is, for both men and women. If you think about it, we all have our our moment where we are at our absolute best. That could be when you're 25, that could be when you're 35, but when you're in your peak physical shape, your peak beauty or attractiveness, or when you're the most handsome or the most intelligent, when you're just in your full stride, when you are in your element, or I mean, in basketball, they'll sometimes say, like, when basketball players are in their prime, that's when they play their best. So for me, well, that's an example from my life from watching sports. But in terms of this poem, it's kind of like when all of that's fade away, when your best is gone, I'll still be here. I'll still love you. When your morn is gone, when your best is gone, when your will is not there anymore, when your gallantry is gone, when your youth, that's kind of scary. That's kind of scary and also comforting, because the speaker is saying, well, well, your youth is gonna go away, it's gonna die out, but I'll still love you. So the whole poem here is kind of like reassuring, reaffirming, reestablishing. I'll love you through this. I'll love you through that. I'll be affectionate through here. These early affections are not going away. It's reassuring, adding that cement, saying no matter what, I am here. I'm not going anywhere. When the morn is past, when the wheedling gallantry is o'er, when youth is lost and age is blast, it doesn't matter. All these good things and wonderful things that are about you, even when they're gone, I will still be here. So this speaker is in love. These are some early affections that just won't quit. And when beauty can ascend no more. Again, when that beauty, whatever he loves, whatever he loves, a woman, nature, whatever he loves here, when that beauty can't ascend no more, when it can't climb anymore, I'll still be here. When life's journey ends with thee. I mean, we're getting a little bit of death here. I mean, I mean, when you're getting close to that day, that death day, um, oh, then look back and think of me. So this speaker is saying, remember me, I'll love you, I won't quit. All of your wonderful things that I marvel at, even when they're gone, I'll still be here. Even when life's journey ends with you, even when that brink of death comes, don't stop thinking about me. Remember me. Think back in the past. Think back of me. Think back of who I am. I'll love thee with a smile or frown, mid sorrow's gloom, and pleasure's light. And when the chain of life runs down, pursue that last eternal flight. When thou hast spread thy wing to flee, still a moment wait for me. I mean, the speaker is literally pleading here. Still wait for me. And the imagery, it goes into when thou hast spread thy wing to flee. So whatever he loves here, even when this thing that he loves, when the chain of life runs down, pursue thy last eternal flight. I mean, an eternal flight. I mean, we're talking about death here. Pursue thy last eternal flight. I mean, nothing can fly forever. I mean, birds can't just stay flying forever. They're not going to stay in the air forever. So, but if we're talking about an eternal flight, usually when we're thinking about death or when a soul is leaving a body, well, I mean, no one wants to go to hell, I hope. But, we think about going to heaven. We think about flying up to heaven or this eternal flight or whatever is gonna die. We want it to go to heaven, or we want to go to heaven, and so that last eternal flight, that perhaps angelic flight, when you spread your wings to flee. Still a moment wait for me. So even when that death comes, or when you go away, or when you go in that eternal flight, think of me. I mean, the speaker again, still really driving it in. A moment, still a moment wait for me. I mean, that pleading of, don't forget about me, don't go without me, because this love, it is powerful, it is piercing, it is like, don't just go, don't just leave. You gotta think about me. You gotta remember me. I'll love thee for those sparkling eyes. Man, this poetry really. To which my fondness was betrayed. Fondness was betrayed. So what is going on here? So he'll love. I mean, this love is so much for him, is that he was betrayed. So I mean, this is when love gets dangerous. I mean, you're getting a whole plethora of emotion here: betrayal, love, sadness, gloom, death, eternal flights, beauty fading away. When beauty is there, when beauty is not there, when life chain runs down. I mean, even when he's betrayed. With those sparkling eyes, he's still there, even though that he was betrayed. So, because this betrayal is in the past. So, even that there was a betrayal, because the betrayed is in the past tense here, his fondness was betrayed, right? So this love is still there even through the betrayal. So he'll love thee for those sparkling eyes, to which my fondness was betrayed. So his fondness was betrayed in the past, but he still loves for those sparkling eyes, of course. Bearing the tincture of the sky. Let me see. Bearing the tincture of the skies, to glow when other beauties fade, and when they sink too low to see, reflect an azure beam on me. So even when those eyes sink too low to see, reflect an azure beam on me. So he's not giving up. This love, this early affection, I mean, there's no hint of him giving up or a hint of him going away. I mean, it's just the whole thing is about love or early affections. Even when his fondness was betrayed, his love still remained. His love still holds fast. And even when the eyes that he loves here at the end of the poem, and when they sink too low to see, even when these eyes can't see anymore, even when these eyes glow dim, you know, bearing the tincture of disguise, to glow when other beauties fade. And when they sink too low to see, to glow in. So when we're saying here is to glow when other beauties fade, and when they sink too low to see, reflect an azure beam on me. So I mean, well, there's no, there's nothing that's lost here. This love is still strong, even when you love. And we're talking about George Moses Horton talked about love. He talked about nature. And we see the nature in here. We see the love in here. Nature is natural. Nature is the natural world. And so we see him writing about the natural world here, natural love, this love that, even through betrayal, through sorrows, through gloomy time, when there's gloom, when there's sadness, when there's unhappiness, he still loves. Even when he was betrayed, he's still asking for when they sink too low to see, reflect an azure beam on me. Even though he's betrayed at some point, he's still asking for this azure beam to reflect upon him. I mean, this love is not quitting. No matter what, it's not quitting. This early affection has gone through life, and these are bold statements about no matter what, even when beauties fade, even when time goes away, even throughout time, I've loved you since the earliest dawn. I'll love you in the eve. Even when your eyes go dim or they can't see, even when your beauty goes away and you're not in your prime anymore, I still want that azure beam to reflect on me. And we can say, well, he's talking about a woman, or we look at the comparisons with nature. It doesn't outright say she. There's no she, or it doesn't outright say nature. But he's writing to his love. So for the poem, it's definitely he's writing to his love, and this love that he has, whatever he loves, whether it is a woman or this thing that he loves, he's just not going to give up. He's not giving up because he still wants that azure beam to reflect on him, no matter what, through the good times and bad times. He wants her or the thing that he loves to think back of him, he's pleading still, let's go back to that. Still a moment, wait for me. I mean, we're pleading here. This is, true love. If we're talking about true love, it is painful. It's like, when your stomach is churning and you can't stop thinking about that thing. If you're in love or truly deeply in love, that pain, it is, beating you down. You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't think. He's pleading, he's begging, like, no matter what, I'll still love you. Even there was betrayal, there was bad times, good times, smiling times. I'm still here because he's still saying, still a moment, wait for me. Don't leave, don't go, think of me, wait for me. Throughout the poem, look at what's happening here. Think of me, wait for me, don't go, don't leave, remember me, remember the past. I'll be here when you're good, I'll be here when you're bad. Just reflect that azure beam on me. So this love is a love that has brought the speaker literally to pleading, Still, a moment, wait for me. So, well, that's early affection. I mean, you get a whole host of emotions. I mean, love, happiness, joy, sadness, gloom, betrayal, um, begging. I mean, emotions, feelings, the time. It's not. He's not gonna stop loving whether it's morning or eve, whether it's dawn or eve, and well, love doesn't quit. True love doesn't quit. But yeah, that's the poem. That's what I had to say about it. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.